My name is Christiaan van Hemert, and this is the very first installment of a video series in which I answer questions that were either asked in the forums of the Rosenberg Academy, which can be found at rosenbergacademy.com, or were asked in emails sent to our mail address. In this first video, I want to answer 3 questions on Gypsy Jazz rhythm guitar. Let's get to the first question. Is it necessary to start with the rhythm guitar before you start studying lead guitar? Yes, I think it's best to start with rhythm, not only because it will give you a good general feel for the music, and it's an essential skill as a Gypsy Jazz guitar player, but also because it will open up the possibility for you to join a jam session much quicker, which is very important to your development as a Gypsy Jazz musician, and it's great fun. Actually, that's one of the best things about this music. You can meet a Gypsy Jazz musician anywhere in the world and you just take out your guitars and jam some tunes. Now, it's not necessary to become a rhythm expert or the best rhythm player ever before you can start studying lead. In fact, you just need a solid, simple approach to rhythm, and you can start with lead after that. So you're looking for the fastest way to acquire that solid rhythm skill. What is that way? I have thoughts on that, and that leads me to the next question. Is there a right way to play rhythm? Well, the answer to that question is both no and yes. No in the sense that there is no one way, no right way to play rhythm. There's many different ways, many different styles, and a lot of them can sound really good or really bad depending on the situation, and most definitely depending on the guitar player playing that particular style of rhythm. And yes, in the sense that there is a right way. The right way to play rhythm is the way that is both supportive to the solo player and doesn't interfere at all with his ability to be creative. The solo player should feel completely free without any restraint due to the sound of the rhythm guitar. So the style that I'm going to teach you is a very simple rhythm style, but don't think it's too simple. It's the exact way that Stochelo plays rhythm, not only when we record for the Rosenberg Academy, but also on stage. Whenever I played with him, this is the way he played rhythm, and it sounds great, and it's great for the solo player. So let's first talk about the sound of that particular style of rhythm, and then talk about the technique behind it. The sound we're looking for in this simple approach to rhythm has 3 important elements. 1, it should sound dry. 2, it should sound soft, low volume, very important. And 3, it should swing. So let's start off with a little demonstration on minor swing so you can hear what it sounds like. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So let's break down the elements. So the first one is that it sounds dry. This means that every beat should sound short for a short period of time, and that every beat should be half muted. What does this mean? It means that I lightly press the strings, not completely down, but also not completely muted. Not like this, right? I know there is a rhythm style in which you mute every second and fourth beat. I call it the American style. It sounds like this. I'm not talking about that style. In that style, you mute the second and fourth beat completely while voicing the first and third beat. I'm talking about half muting every beat. Every beat I lightly press the strings, but not completely down. Just a little bit. So if I would do it now and just play every string separately, it would sound like this. You see, you can still hear the notes, some more than others, but it's not like this. Completely down. But it's also not like this. Completely muted. Somewhere in between. I do this for every beat. That's what I mean by dry. So the second element is that it should sound soft. This speaks for itself. Just play softly, low volume. There's too many rhythm players, even ones with a good sound, that play so loudly, and it's very annoying to solo players. I can understand that it's a great feel to play this strong rhythm, but you have to imagine a solo player has to play loud as well, right? And usually this takes away something or a lot of things away from his technique. So just play softly, and the more rhythm players there are, the more soft you should play. But even if you play alone, just play low volume. Very important. Maybe the most important thing. The third one is swing, right? The rhythm should sound swinging, and I'm not talking about keeping the tempo or don't slow down, don't speed up. That's important too, but we'll discuss it in the third question. I'm talking about the sound of the rhythm to create swing. This means that you should have two different sounds. The sound for the first and the third beat, and another sound for the second and fourth beat. The second and fourth beat should be accented, and the first and third beat shouldn't be accented. You can hear it, right? So the second and fourth beat have a light accent, not too much, but they sound different from the first and third beat. So now we've discussed the sound, let's go into the technique, how to accomplish this sound. Let's talk about the technique for this rhythm style for both hands, starting with the left hand. I already talked about the half muting concept, but it's important to add that you should release every beat as soon as your right hand has strummed the chord to keep all the chords sounding short. I realize that there is a long sounding rhythm style which can sound really great in some situations, but generally a short sounding style will be more supportive to the solo player because he will feel more freedom. So better to play it safe and keep everything short. Another benefit of playing half muted is that it puts much less strain on your left hand, especially in fast tempos. If you would be pressing down completely and releasing, pressing down, releasing every beat, your hand will get tired really quickly. So by half muting, you not only produce this nice dry sound, you also save strength in your left hand. The right hand technique is all about producing two different sounds. One sound for beats 1 and 3, and a different sound for beats 2 and 4. You do this by changing the movements. The movement for beats 1 and 3 is made by the wrist, and the movement for beats 2 and 4 is made by the arm. For beats 1 and 3, your hand is in a neutral position above the strings and you flick your wrist. And you're back to neutral. Flick, neutral. Flick, neutral. For beats 2 and 4, I'm moving my arm. That is to say, I don't keep my wrist locked, it will still move. It might look the same, but I'm not trying to move it like in beats 1 and 3. I'm trying to consciously move my arm, like this. And back to neutral, always. So. So 1 and 2 together, beats 1 and 2. For beats 1 and 3, I'm not trying to hit all the strings, I'm trying to hit maybe the bottom 3, maybe 4. And for beats 2 and 4, I'm trying to hit maybe 5 strings, maybe 6. So let's do a really slow A minor 6 rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, minor string one more time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all there is to it. If you watch your movements, be very conscious of when you're moving your wrist, when you're moving your arm, you should be able to get this reasonably fast. All the while, half muting with your left hand. Okay, let's go to some do's and don'ts. This will be slightly more about don'ts than do's. First thing, embellishments. Don't use too many embellishments. There are too many rhythm players that use embellishments all over the place, sometimes even every 2 bars. I'll give you a demonstration. I'm sure you know someone who plays like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every 2 bars, I go crazy when I hear this, and actually it's not an embellishment anymore, it's now part of the rhythm. Don't do that. Another embellishment is playing long chords in between the short chords, and some people do it every chord change. Sounds like this. It's logical because when you change chords, it's easy to play a long chord so that you know you have the right chord voicing, the right strings under your fingers. But it doesn't sound nice. Now it's part of the rhythm again instead of an embellishment. If you do this like sometimes, it can sound really nice. Let's do it again. Let's do it on the second D minor 6 and on the B flat 6. 1, and the rest is short. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a nice way to use it. Here's another don't. Don't play too loud. I've said it many times, but it's very important because if you play loud, everybody has to play loud, and then you have to play even louder again, and then they have to play louder, and at one point everybody plays so loud there is no music left, right? So if there's someone you're jamming with that plays loud, just tell them, could we play maybe a little bit softer? You don't have to point to them. Just let's play soft, everybody. And you will notice that the music becomes more dynamic because there's more room for the solo player to play some loud chords and to play some soft passages. So just play softly. Here's another don't. Don't use upstrokes in your rhythm playing, especially when you're just starting out learning this style. Now, upstrokes can sound really great, but you need to be an experienced rhythm player to make it work. When you're in a jam situation with 5 guitar players and everybody starts playing an upstroke differently, then the rhythm will sound messy, that will in turn mess with the solo player. So just stick to downstrokes for a while until you've got it down, and then maybe you could start to think about using upstrokes. And maybe I'll make a video on that in the future. Here's a do. Chromatic shifts on chords that last 2 bars or longer. So if you have a chord that lasts for 2 bars, you could shift down one half step, 1 fret, on the 3rd beat of the 1st bar, and then move back up on the 1st beat of the 2nd bar. So let's say I have to play D minor 6 for 2 bars, and instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's put it into context. I'm going to play minor swing, and I'll make this chromatic shift on D minor 6, and I will also do it on E7. 1, 2, 3, 4. This can sound really nice. It will create movement in your harmonic movement in your chords. It will create more drive. Just be careful to not overdo it. Okay, here's a do, and it's an important one. Do try to keep the form of the song you're playing. It's very easy to get lost and not be completely sure if you should go to the bridge or not. One way to keep track of the form is to say to yourself top whenever you are at the top of the song. So you have bridge, 3rd A, and then you say to yourself top. If you go to the bridge at the wrong time or not go to the bridge, you could really mess up the flow of the solo. Now this is a very important question. How to practice keeping the tempo of the song you're playing and be a very consistent rhythm player. An obvious answer would seem to practice along with a metronome, but usually this doesn't solve anything, because the only thing you're practicing is to play along with a machine that keeps strict tempo for you. A more effective way is to take a good recording, maybe an original jungle recording, and first notate the metronome markings of the beginning and the end. So maybe it starts at 2:45 and it ends at 2:52. So that's a 7-beat deviation. And then play along with the original recording as many times as needed, maybe 10 times, to get a feel for the song and to get the feel for playing in a live situation with real musicians. Then turn off the recording and play on your own, starting at the right metronome mark, recording yourself, without the metronome of course. At the end, check to see how many beats you deviated. Maybe you started at 2:45 and ended at 2:60, so you speeded up 16 beats. Maybe you slow down, but try to get it as close to the original recording as possible. If you do this for a couple of months with different songs, different tempos, I will promise you that your steadiness will improve immensely. And we've come to the end of the first video. I will be back in 2 weeks discussing picking technique, consecutive downstrokes, when to use upstrokes, different styles of picking. If you have questions about that, you can always send me a mail at rosenbergacademy@gmail.com, but I have enough questions about it already. But who knows, maybe you have an interesting thing to add to it. Later.